Welcome back, everyone, to another chapter of A History of Murder. I'm so happy to be back with you. I did not get a chapter uploaded last week, and that's because there's some pretty exciting things going on. I'm getting really close to releasing book 2. I'm hoping to do that in December of 2021, and it is currently November of 2021 as I record this, so it's been busy, and it's very exciting, and I encourage you to make sure you subscribe because there's going to be some exciting things going on with that launch. And next week especially is going to be fun because I'm going to be doing my cover reveal, and I will reveal the cover here on YouTube as well. So make sure you subscribe and hit that like button, and it'll help people know about this. So tonight we're going to read chapter 25, Some Vindication. If you'll remember last chapter, Chloe was kind of trying to think through her theories in her bedroom. She did a little phone search, tried to figure out what this Vandenberg guy was up to. And at the last minute, she heard this deep male voice in the hall, and that's where we left off. Chief Garner appeared in the doorway, framed in the darkness of the hallway behind him. He had his hands up. "Sorry," he said meekly. "Your grandmother pointed me up here. She's busy with the home tour." I felt a little embarrassed and vulnerable having him see me lying on my bed. I jumped to my feet and pulled at the hem of my hoodie, then smoothed my hair. "No problem. I was just doing some research." I held up my phone for proof and tried to sound cool, calm, collected. Jed was awake now and jumped at Chief Garner to get his attention. "Hey there, big guy," Garner said sweetly. He rubbed Jed's ears affectionately. "Want to talk outside?" I suggested. "We won't be in Grandma's way on the front porch." We settled in wicker furniture, complete with our dog and cat companions. Both Jed and Elliot wanted to snuggle with Garner instead of me. "What am I, chopped liver?" I asked. "Decidedly not," Garner said with a smirk, "or else they'd be all over you." "True," I laughed. He was so cute with them, sweetly stroking their fur and looking into their eyes. After a few moments, Chief Garner spoke, his official police officer tone returning. "Chloe, we need to talk. I wasn't happy when I saw you in Lakeview today." "Sorry to hear that," I said, echoing his coolness. "What made you go there?" "I wanted to check on things there. I'm beginning to think Art's death had to do with his time in Lakeview." What the chief said next shocked me. "It is possible." I sat up straight. "Really?" He nodded. "But listen, I have some questions for you." I froze. Was this going to be about Art's conniving ways? If so, I needed to be careful not to incriminate Grandma Lily. "First, how did you know to go to Fabiani's?" he asked. "I found out Art used to work there before he moved to Jericho Falls." "And what made you think that a job he held for only a few months over a year ago had any bearing on his murder?" I sighed. "Just a hunch, I guess." Chief Garner nodded slowly. His expression seemed to say that he agreed. "Did Mr. Fabiani mention George Vandenberg to you?" I asked the chief. He nodded. "Yes, but I was already aware of him. When Art was murdered, we ran a background check. Vandenberg's name came up as a business associate." "He seems like a shady character," I said. The chief raised one eyebrow. "What makes you say that?" "The research I was doing upstairs." "Did your cell phone research tell you that Art and George Vandenberg liked to con little old ladies out of their fortunes?" I shook my head. "Careful, Chloe. Mr. Fabiani told me that, though." "Could it be true?" I asked the chief, trying to sound surprised. "It is true. Art's charm, coupled with Vandenberg's crooked law practice, was all it took for the two of them to swindle several lonely elderly women out of their money. Their last victim was named Nancy Phillips." He paused. "To think that Art might have been grooming Lily, too." Garner clenched his teeth. The muscles of his jaw bulged. I said nothing, too afraid that whatever words came out would ring false. As a safeguard, I put my hand over my mouth, hoping it looked like I was shocked, aghast at this news. Garner went on. Vandenberg died of a heart attack before they got their spoils from Ms. Phillips, though, meaning Art got the entire fortune to himself. What about Vandenberg's family? Would they take his share? There is no family. His wife divorced him and took the kids several years ago, when he went from being an upstanding attorney to working on the wrong side of the law. So it's a dead end, I asked. How could this be? I felt like we were finally getting close to knowing what happened to Art. But I must have been wrong. Garner spoke in a calm voice and put a hand on my shoulder. If it's any consolation, Chloe, I'm doing all I can to eliminate your grandmother as a suspect. She's in great shape for her age, but it would have taken more strength than she has to move Art into her flower bed. Or strangle him, I said with a grimace. Art wasn't strangled. He was already dead when that ribbon was tied around his neck. What? The memory of Art lying in the flower bed came to me. Suddenly I remembered the small puddle of blood underneath his head. I can't say more, said Garner, but please know that he wasn't strangled with Lily's ribbon. What about DNA? If he fought back, he may have gotten the killer's DNA under his fingernails. Garner smiled. Are you a forensic TV show fan, Chloe? Maybe, but it isn't a bad idea to check, I said with a shrug. Garner's face went stoic once again. We didn't find any DNA on Art except for his own and your grandmother's. A chill ran through me. I'm accountable to the evidence, Chloe, and we're following up on all of it. I hung my head, disappointed to hear we weren't in the clear yet. Why tell me all this? I asked. I haven't told you much you didn't already know, he admitted, but at this point, it looks like something recent, not from the past, led to Art's murder. I shook my head vehemently. I have this hunch that... Garner interrupted me, raising his hand in the stop signal. Chloe, Art was involved in criminal behavior. I don't want you getting tied up in anything that hurts you too. I need you to leave the investigation to me. Understand? I have to help my grandma, I cried. I'm sorry if I don't trust the police, not after what I've been through. His face softened. I know. What happened to you wasn't right. People got scared because the community hadn't been through anything like it. Law enforcement had to do something to show they were taking matters seriously. I held back tears, swallowing hard as he went on. I'm sorry you went through that. Thank you, I squeaked, one tear spilling down my cheek. Chief Garner wasn't responsible for how I was treated all those years ago, but having someone in his position understand was at least some vindication. I better be off, he said, rubbing his hands together as if to create the friction necessary to get himself going. I still have a report to finish before I can call it a day. I hadn't realized how much time had passed. The front yard now glowed bronze with the setting sun. I took a moment to appreciate the sky's multiple colors, blue meeting lavender, which blended into orange and finally red. Despite all this turmoil, Mother Nature was still on the case, spinning the earth in its orbit and creating works of art outside our windows. What's on your mind? Garner asked. At the moment, nothing but that gorgeous sunset. He looked too. A slow grin broke out over his handsome face. I felt the now familiar feeling of nerves that he tended to give me. I had to stop. He wasn't available. I should let you get going. Mandy is probably missing you. That's true, he said, standing. A pang of jealousy shot through me. And, he checked his watch, she's probably starving for some kibble right about now. Kibble? Garner chuckled. You ran off last night before I could introduce you to Mandy, Jed's sister. Jed's sister? Mandy is a dog? He raised his eyebrows and smiled like he had guessed my ill assumption and was enjoying the chance to set me straight. Garner explained. I'm pretty sure that's why Jed came calling. They love to play together. And that's why the chief had been to Art's house before. Well, please tell Mandy hello from Jed, I said. Maybe they could go to the dog park together sometime. I bet she'd like that, he said, starting down the front steps. But really, Chloe, you need to stay out of the investigation, okay? It's for your own good. He held my gaze for just a moment with a serious look in his eye before turning to go. I wasn't making any promises. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me again for chapter 25. I promise that we'll have chapter 26 a little sooner, not so many breaks. But again, please make sure to subscribe because I cannot wait to show you the cover for book 2, which is coming out really soon. And we'll see what happens next with the Jericho Falls gang. So thank you all. Bye-bye.